Signs of the Southland for Monday, November 24th, 2025. Your weekly dose of Georgia Tech numbers and words is here once again. My name is Akshay, and joining me from beautiful Atlanta, Georgia, are Jack Purdy and Maggie Scroggs, filling in for Jake Grant today. How are you, everyone? How's it going? Surely nothing totally emotionally wrecking happened over the weekend. Totally not.
Not at all.
No,
I'm great.
we won in volleyball. What are you talking about?
I love how that's
That's the
technically
only thing that
correct,
happened.
which is
Yes,
really the
it's
best
only
kind of
technically,
correct.
it's only half correct in the grand scheme of things.
That's the only thing that
Okay.
happened. Just a volleyball game. That's it.
Yep.
Only thing. Yep. Yep.
What a weekend. What a
What
weekend.
a weekend. Yeah.
Saturday was a lifetime ago and also took a lifetime in and of itself, I think I would say. So let's start there. Georgia Tech football posting a 42-28 loss at home versus Pittsburgh. Uh, In fairness, this is a improvement from their first quarter deficit of 28-0. And I only laugh because it prevents me from crying. Jack, do you kind of want to set the stage of the first part of the day before the game? The first part of the day. It's a
Yes.
7 p.m. kickoff. It's arguably the biggest game on campus in 10 years, 10 literal calendar years.
Yes.
So just give me a slice of life at that point of the day.
We all knew it was what was up for grabs. The fact it was our only night game we've had on and will have on campus this entire year at this point. ACC Huddle was there after we didn't get game day because Pitt had lost or we were just never in contention for that. But it was also it was perfect weather day. Like there was no rain in sight. It was mid 70s once it got warm enough and it felt warm. It felt warm even in the morning. Um, And so I mean, just in just the terms of just being outside and tailgating and going to ACC Huddle for those that wanted to go to that, and just having a big day at Tech before the holidays ramped up, it was a perfect storm for that. I got to campus at 12:30, and on my walk from Bobby Dodd towards the icy lawn, everywhere that I would usually see tailgates post themselves up throughout the day were already filled in. Like all the RV lots completely full. The people that are usually in the icy lawn already completely there by before 1 o'clock, and another spots around Tech Green. Like it was as good as I've ever seen it. That I think well, I've seen it that good before. I just didn't expect it that early in the day. I thought I was going to be a little too early when I got there at 12:30. I was not too early. People were already there hours beforehand, which that's not a thing I ever. I mean, I mean, my Maggie got the worst years possible to be doing this kind of thing. Um, but I never saw it. I never.
The face that Max
It's
made in
unfortunate this is not
response to
on
that.
video. Nonetheless, like
Podcasting is a visual medium, Jack, as
I've
I've
been to
always said.
we've been to SEC home games and things like that at other schools, and like it was always it's always a different experience. And this was the first day it ever felt even remotely touching what those kinds of days were like from start to finish, between just the atmosphere of people go, the places you could go, the people you could hang out with. And then once you actually got in the stadium, like the fervor was there. Like there was a palpable energy inside that stadium a half hour before that I had never felt in there. I remember viscerally feeling after they said Haynes King's name, Jamal Haynes' name in the senior day thing, and the waiting for the Rex to write out. I was like, I have never felt this place more alive than right now. At least in a pregame situation. Like it was all there, which is I think is part of why what happened over the next 3 hours makes it feel so much more crushing. Was because the anticipation was there. Yes, we knew the defense was going to be leaky as hell, and we just needed to win a boat race. We had talked about that last week. If we won a boat race, we're fine. We can win. We have won boat races. Um, we just didn't expect the engine to cut out 2 seconds into the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maggie, you were watching this one on TV, right?
I
Just
was.
wasn't
I
able to
was.
make it back to the stadium. So what was the opening couple of drives like? What was that pregame atmosphere like from the TV broadcast?
Well, from the TV, I mean, they definitely immediately kind of brought up like crowd is rocking, like, this is awesome environment, which I feel like they normally do bring up just because the skyline in Atlanta, they talk about that. But it was nice to hear them actually talk about the crowd for once instead of the actual scenery itself. But I think, you know, I was in shock. I think announcers were in shock. I I mean, I think that's the last thing anyone kind of expected was for not only the defense. I think everyone expected the defense to maybe lay a few eggs and not expecting the offense to just, I mean, I don't remember how many yards they had in the first like 5 drives, but it was
Like 20 something.
like
It
yeah,
was
it was like 23 or something like that. I don't think anyone was expecting that. So I think announcers were definitely very shocked. I was shocked. But yeah, as far as crowd goes, they had good things to say about it. And you could tell from the TV that it was an awesome atmosphere, which is cool to see.
I can read those first five tech drives out to you, actually. Three plays, 4 yards. Three plays, -10 yards. Five
Oh,
plays, 19 yards. Three plays, 2 yards. Did I hit one more? One more. I'm missing one more. Three plays, -4 yards. That was the entire first quarter.
does that even add up to 23?
No, that is,
no.
let's see, four
No.
minus
I
six,
think we got to 23 and then went backwards.
13, 15, 11.
Jesus
11 total yards
God.
of offense.
I mean,
Uh,
and we came into
yeah,
this game as the number one offense in the nation with 496 yards per game and had 11 in the first quarter. I mean,
We're so good at football. We're so good at it. Uh,
uh,
well, should I read the rest of the game like I usually do? And then
yeah.
finish?
We'll speed through the
Yes.
recap of pain and just give
It
us the
won't be long.
highlights here.
This won't be long. So yeah, we're down 28-0. We finally get points as Pitt's offense, Mason Heinzel didn't after that first quarter, it was much slower for them. Like they only scored 7 offensive points from that point on.
mhm.
We managed to come back. Once we actually found our groove, got our way back into it. Of note, Malachi Hosley did get hurt early in the game, and so what was going to be our vertical running attack completely went away. We had to use Jamal. We put in Chad Alexander in spots we usually would never put Chad Alexander in, and that didn't work despite being open for a touchdown at one point. But we get the game back up to 28-21, and the fact that we were down 28-0 as fast as we were kind of helped. That did help put us in an advantage because if you from that point on we win. I mean we're that's three. That's 4 offensive touchdowns to one over 3 quarters. Now you play 4 quarters, which sucks.
I'm
That's the
sorry,
part that
Jack. Time out for 1 second. You are the first person who I've ever heard in my entire life that
if
has
you're gonna go
said
down four
going
scores,
down 4 scores in the
if you're
first quarter actually an advantage.
compared to being down 4 scores any other point in the game, you want to if it's gonna happen, you have to do it then because that's your only shot at coming back is with that much time. And even then, that's not
I see
enough
the
time.
point.
That's the point. It's like it was awful. It's still bad, but I did have the thought. I'm like, thank God it's now and not 2 hours from now, because then it would have been like truly dead. There's no hope if this is happening in the third. If we get to this point in the third quarter, and we finally break things open. Haynes King gets a score. Isaiah Canyon gets involved. We get it to 28-21. We're at third and goal, and my God, and also the offensive line was leaky all day. Haynes King was getting pressured all over the place. He had 2 interceptions, and one of them came at the goal line as we're looking to put a score in from 5 yards out. We had like we had third and goal from the 5, I think 4 times in this game. And this was the one that ended up in an interception as Pitt dropped a guy back in a spot we never thought he was going to go, and King threw straight at him, and there was no one to catch him. And so that turned
That
it.
was also an important part. It's a 28-21 game at that point.
Yes,
That is the game is in the balance. The crowd is back into it.
this
The
is
entire sold out crowd, no one has left.
no,
Even though it is
no.
28-0 in the first quarter, no one has left their seats. The crowd is back into it. And then that happens and
The
the air
momentum
is
was
back
all
out of
there.
the building.
Yeah, the momentum. I mean, you put in the sheet, momentum is fake, but I mean, Pitt wasn't moving the ball. Like we were actually getting sacks. We were making life not easy for Mason Heinzel, and we were able to do enough in the air despite Pitt wanting that to happen that it was working. And that one play that ruins the whole game because if you score there, it's 28-28. Everyone's jacked up. Everyone's ready to go, and Pitt just puts the dagger in us, and we just couldn't. And at that point, we get the ball back, we score one more time, but we just milk so much clock because we're subbing on every play, and Pitt's using the clock to sub their guys out and milking it and milking it and milking it. I mean, at some points we needed our first touchdown drive. I think was pretty long, which was probably good, so our defense didn't have to be on the field again. More than anything, like that one, I was kind of okay with just knowing we had enough game time left. But good lord, that the game pretty much ends on the pick six when it goes from what should have been a tie game to reinstates a 2-score game with just not enough time to make it happen. And
I would
then
argue though they made this close.
they did. They come back.
Pat Narduzzi is begging
Oh,
Tech to take this game back the entire
Yeah.
second half.
The fake
Pat
punt.
Narduzzi is
Yes.
handing you this game
The
on a
fake punt.
silver platter. Yeah, the
Yeah.
fake punt. To your point,
Yeah. Yeah.
They
mean-
do a fake punt that was unnecessary. Also, if you look at the photo, you can see they were in a normal prevent formation and then shift the guy over to the left, and you can see the center rotate
Yes,
and
he's, like, rotated.
aimed not at the punter. So like it was obvious from the get go where that ball was going. We stop him, we get short field and get our last touchdown off of that. And then we had all of our timeouts down 35-28. Pitt had the ball. We had them to a 3rd and 4. They convert, and then the next play, Jakira and Turner runs for 56 yards, and we look like the Tech that played against Boston College, and that was it. So, like we put even after that interception, Tech was still in a spot where they could have just maybe had. I mean, we've scored with a minute on the clock before. Like we've done a hurry up offense. And
they don't convert that 3rd and 4 right there. They punt. I mean, we had, I think, 3 minutes.
We had our timeouts and all that. Yeah, anything's possible in that moment. And
so I mean, we had our times to take the game back, and
so fun.
That's all there is to say. Yeah.
yeah, it's not great in many ways. Like I think I was talking to a buddy who had graduated a couple years before me, like during the game, and in many ways, I think both of us, him watching on TV and me watching in the stadium, knew intrinsically in our souls what was about to happen as soon as Jakarian Turner, as soon as Pitt converts that 3rd down before Jakarian Turner's touchdown. Whatever was going to happen was going to be the stupidest thing imaginable, possible. And of course,
Mason
it does happen.
Mason audibled into that play. He changed the play on the line of scrimmage, and they just got the one gap, and he blew by both linebackers. Like our guys just looked like sitting ducks out there, unable to tackle at the second level.
I think this was like, what is the like ultimate opposite of like crowning? Like I need a word that describes that.
Dethroning?
Dethroning? No, it's got to be more negative. I'm like thinking of
abdication.
Maybe I'm thinking of something that's like, this is like the whatever the opposite of zenith is, of the nadir. Excuse me, the nadir of this defensive unit's season.
Yeah,
because they constantly took bad angles on tackles. They constantly got outworked, like legitimately outworked when it came to pulling guys down, bringing them down at center of mass and bringing them down each. It was something that Jake touched on a couple of weeks ago about, hey, how are these carries that like 3-yard carries versus NC State turning into 6-yard carries? How are these 2-yard carries turning into 5-yard carries? And you saw that all the time. Every single rushing play, Jakarian Turner was breaking 2 or 3 or 4 tackles en route to like a 15-yard gain. It didn't matter whether Tech's defense set up in man or zone. Some Pitt receiver was in a seam and was open and was sprinting open, right? Some of these are circus catches. There is a lot of complaining about holding in my section at the stadium specifically. Look, if your defenders can't break the edge, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it was more than that.
Yeah. If you can't turn, like, if you keep letting them turn 5 into 10, then it doesn't matter what you do at the edge, right?
Right.
And it was just a disaster. I cannot describe any. I will give this defense credit. Like, Pitt calls off the dogs in their to their discredit, calls off the dogs and is just game state trying to sit on the game by the middle of the second quarter, middle of the third quarter. And Tech gets some stops, like they get stops like they need to, right? And then it just turns in the offense's time to go from Cinderella into a pumpkin, and it's immensely frustrating to watch this offense, which generally was pretty okay with pressure throughout most of this season, especially up front, really struggle in this game. Obviously, Pitt's defenders, by and large, are probably a tick above whatever else Tech has seen this season, with maybe the exception of Clemson, but just really struggle. King's interception, both of King's interceptions, or at least one of King's interceptions, is off a like a panic throw,
Yeah.
right? That just he's trying to throw it away. He throws it away into the center of the field, and it's just an easy catch in the middle of a zone for a Pitt defender. And then the other one is the same interception I've thrown at least 100 times in NCAA, where a linebacker
I sent
lurks.
that to someone too. I sent that to someone too after
Yeah,
that
it's
happened.
a
Yeah.
it's a lot. It's like a DB lurks into the shallow zone and is watching the quarterback's eyes the entire time. He's watching for that like crosser that comes across his front, and he jumps the route and takes it to the house. It's the exact same play I've gotten picked off on multiple times. But and it's backbreaking. I have no idea how Tech manufactured two hilariously backbreaking moments, like emotionally backbreaking moments in this game. But credit to them, they engineered a way to do that twice. Can't say enough about that kind of innovation, really.
And Brent did mention afterwards that the interception that broke everything was something new that they hadn't seen on film, and that he was like he was really he applauded them for that particular play because it was like, yeah, that fooled us. Like that one legitimately got us.
The wait, he said the pick six had fooled them on film. They hadn't
Yeah,
seen
they
a
hadn't seen
lurk
that
a DB lurking on
in that
film.
particular spot. Yeah, that was something that they had that was new. So uh
Sure, I guess.
you
I
see
get
something new. You
I
see something
Yeah,
new. You see something new. I don't know what to tell you. Well, also, I mean, of note, like I talked about this with Steven, who writes for the Pitt Gazette. Like Pitt's passing defense isn't good. Like that was the spot to exploit them in, and I'm like kind of not surprised. But once we lost Hosley, the running game just completely died because Jamal can't run vertically. We tried to go horizontal with him, and it didn't. It worked some, not enough. It definitely broke us in the beginning of the game when we went to him 3 times in a row. On I have a hard time believing the first 3 scripted plays all were for Jamal, but here we are. Um, but I mean, but also, I mean, still on that play, I mean, King gets pressured. Like he's got a guy in his face. There was multiple times where we had more than enough guys to block in the line that did not block the guys coming that were in it. So like part of it's on King. Yes, you just throw it higher, just throw it away kind of thing. But also like he wasn't helped enough on that, and they weren't getting the short stuff either on those usual jailbreak screens and whatnot that worked against Boston College. So um, it worked. I mean, Narduzzi's plan worked. That's we got
That's the worst part
outright beat
about
there.
this. That's the
I
worst
can't
part about
stand
this, though. He's Brad Narduzzi, the only person that's ever made me defend Jeff Collins, and for that, it's
them.
unforgivable. It's
Oh
unforgivable.
God.
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
for background for everyone listening, because everyone's podcast or every podcast is someone's first. This was like the 2020 Tech Pit game where there was this incident with Narduzzi and Jeff shaking hands, and
Yeah.
Narduzzi just talked a big game after the game and was like, "This was so disrespectful." Like, and then there was nearly a fight on the field, I think, or right before it, because the entire end of the game was just a complete nonsense. And so they like really just had like a really terrible handshake. And then Narduzzi said something to the media about it being super disrespectful. It's like, come on, man.
Whatever.
You like your
Whatever.
team just almost got into a full-on fight at an away stadium, which by the way, they nearly did in pregame too by walking through Tech's pregame setup where players were coming out, which was great. I love playing Pittsburgh. They're such gracious opponents every time. Just
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Amazing.
Yep. Yeah.
Frustrating.
Mhm.
Frustrating,
Yeah.
frustrating day.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
kind of the stakes at play. Reviewing those, Tech is effectively eliminated from the ACC championship game. Its only path into the game is SMU losing to California, Virginia Tech beating UVA, and Pitt beating Miami. Pitt, and wouldn't Miami have to beat Pitt? Do you have that backwards?
Nope, that's right. Because no, that's right. Pitt, yeah, yeah, that's where it's at because we would play Pitt again. in the ACC
Mm.
Huh.
championship game if that happens because we need everyone else to get the 2 losses or less, um,
Yeah.
or more, and so Pitt's the one that works in that situation. I'll rerun the numbers just while I'm here, but
Yeah, just saying it, I mean, I believe you, but just when you say it, it kind of doesn't make sense. But
well,
Yeah,
17 team conferences don't make sense, and you get into this mess of
yeah,
this crap going
I
on.
know that's the
Uh,
problem is no one plays each other anymore, and then you have
Yep,
this.
yep.
what
Here we
if
go.
we
Okay,
did?
so here we go. So if Cal beats SMU, Duke and Wake Forest doesn't matter. NC State, UNC doesn't matter. Pitt beats Miami. Syracuse, Boston College doesn't matter. And then Virginia Tech beats Virginia. You got Pitt at 7-1, and then Tech at 2, because of our record against common opponents played equal times, which means we
Oh,
beat Wake Forest. That's what that means.
yeah, pretty much.
And then Duke would be third, Virginia fourth, SMU fifth, Miami sixth at 5-3. They get out of the way. If Miami beats Pitt, then it's a Duke Miami ACC championship in that situation.
That's
And we're
so
third.
gross.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's actually
so
disgusting.
gross.
Yes. If
No,
Virginia wins, this is
it's
all
almost
moot.
embarrassing.
All this is moot if Virginia wins, though. Like if Virginia wins, forget about it. We're not in.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yes,
that's
Virginia, noted reliable winners of the Commonwealth Cup.
yeah.
What is it? Haven't they won? Is it two times in the last 19 meetings?
Yes, hold on. We can
Something
go to
like that.
Winsipedia.
Yeah, something like that.
Wins.
I'm pretty sure it's two times in the last 19 years. So, and honestly, if James Franklin is a home run higher there, this might be their last year to do it for a long time.
Can he coach the game? Can James coach the game? Like
Seriously.
that'd be
It
cool.
would be
I mean,
funny.
I mean,
Man, they don't
yeah.
have it on the homepage. Steven, what are you doing? It's killing me, man.
Well, while he's looking at that, of note, John Gilmore did also get hurt. He had to get an air cast during the game, had to get literally lifted into a cart to leave, and so he's done for the year with whatever probable broken thing or pulled something there. That was the end of that. He was very good. Didn't show a lot of pain, but nonetheless, like that was it there. Um, King still has a lot of yards, but they don't like the NFL MVP. If you lose games, you don't get the MVP award. So he's probably not going to New York at this point unless something crazy happens in 5 days. But
Yeah.
um,
He has a
that
700-yard game, maybe, but
I mean, I remember saying like is he going to need 600 yards for us to beat Pitt, and that probably was actually true.
that
Um,
It might
it,
legitimately, yeah.
yeah.
so, anyways, what'd you find?
Jack, just as a review and not to dox you, what is your year of birth again?
My year of birth is 1999.
Since 1999. And to be fair, most of this is the Frank Beamer era, so take it with a grain
Yes.
of salt.
That is true.
UVA has beaten Virginia Tech twice.
Ooh, that's
And
uh that
that's not just like twice at home.
that's
That's
just
not
twice
just
total.
like that's just twice total.
That's incredible.
Total. Virginia Tech
Wow.
is on a 4 game win streak, even at like the depths of the Justin Fuente and like the depths of this Brent Pry era.
Oof.
VT has put a smack on UVA. I assume this year will be different, but I don't know. It's weird. It's been a weird college football season, extremely.
This conference never ceases to amaze. Like we've had in the way we didn't think was happen, we had our very surprising win and our very surprising loss in this run of games where should have been where we were favored a lot of times. So um yeah, no one's impervious to this conference once everyone got exposed to the ACC Coastal.
It spreads, as John Rothstein likes to tell us on Twitter. It spreads. We took some audience questions because we recorded a day late. So let's start with. There's like 3 here that I think are kind of the same bracket of thing.
Yes. Yes.
Number one from Darth Rocco on Twitter. Why can't we have nice things? And then also subpoints from the Bald Eagle on Blue Sky. Quote, am I crazy for being more down in the dumps after Pitt than I was after last year's clean old fashioned hate? And then related from Major on Blue Sky. Can you help me care about clean old fashioned hate on Friday and our bowl game? Um,
Maggie started this one.
yeah,
Yeah, so want to start with am I crazy for being more down in the dumps after Pitt than after last year's incident? Um I don't think so because I think there's so much more as far as postseason writing on this Pitt game here. And also the fact of kind of what we talked about of just the whole, the atmosphere and just the hype behind it with the fans. Like there was just so much expectation and build up for this game versus last year. I mean, we were 19.5 point dogs. Like I don't think a lot of people were super hopeful for that game, but so no, I don't think it's crazy. Uh, you know, Last year we beat UGA. We still haven't got an AC championship. Wouldn't have been in the playoff. And if we beat Pitt, both of those things probably would have been true. So
Hey,
no,
but we
don't
would
go
have gone to the
crazy.
Pop-Tarts Bowl.
True. I mean, at
Maybe.
this point, I hope we still even make it to that. But
I'm not ruling us out of that yet. They did
Hey,
come and see it.
I keep seeing those reps at our games.
They
You
I've
should
seen a
know,
they
lot of predictions of us in
they
the.
also go to all the games, I think, too, in the Southeast. So that's my thought.
boo.
But hey, they're a popular bowl. They get around. They have the best pins. They have the best pins. That's unrelated.
But good to know. Also wanted to point out the why can't we have nice things? It's because Georgia gets them all.
That's correct.
So
So we
yeah,
have this like very common refrain on in our writers' room whenever inevitably Georgia gets some sort of good call to bail them out of a bad situation, like versus Texas or like versus Auburn or something. It's like nothing truly bad ever happens out there.
Nope.
nothing.
Nothing
Nothing.
truly bad. They
Seriously.
will find a way to complain about like only winning by 15 points versus Texas. They'll find a way to complain about literally
I've
I'm
seen it happen,
bereft
and
of
it's
examples.
I've seen it happen so many times. I think to all these questions, yeah, I mean Maggie was right. Like against Georgia, any close game felt like at that point the season was already a win. We got bowl eligible in the season where we weren't sure if that was going to happen. We fought through some really tough games. Aaron Philo had to single-handedly win a game for us to even get to that point. Like we had done the thing we needed to do to make that season feel like progress from where we came from the season before. At this point, yeah, like there was real expectation. Like we had proven that we could escape games with wins against teams we probably should have beat by a lot, but who cares? You win. Um, and also at this point, yes, we had beaten I think the general expectation of 8 wins. We're already at 9, and the offense is playing better. Like there was enough. There's ways to think like, okay, here's the way. There's a real path to win these games, and when you have that, sticks in your brain. Like that's real expectation. That's real hope that sticks in there. I certainly was in the nope, Pitt's going to kill us mode after losing to BC. I thought the playoff wasn't even going to rank us. But then if you only have one loss, you're going to get ranked. But then as the week went on and on and on, I'm like, wait a second. Okay, I see where Pitt's flaws are. I see where we're doing well. I see where if you play moderately better on defense, just moderately, even from how bad we are, that gives us a real shot. And most of those things happened, and we still lost, which really sucks. You get, so I mean, I don't I think right now just the flavor. This is a very unique flavor compared to losing to Georgia last year, where yes, it sucked in the moment. It felt like it was 5 games in one kind of amount of stuff packed in it. But it was like okay, the season wasn't over. We still were in a winning mindset after that, and no one was disappointed in what happened in that game because at that point it's a crapshoot once you get past the third overtime, anyways. So you played them effectively to a tie like that. If you call that a tie, I don't think anyone's complaining. Um, so I
Except
mean,
fans.
except yes, oh absolutely, yes. Um, Now for the bowl, now caring about the clean up flash night in the bowl game, there is the avenue of technically there is the slimmest of margin for things to go our way, and we have a real and we somehow sneak our way into something way more deserving, a much higher profile game than we deserve. That is, if we beat Georgia, that's one avenue, which is not impossible. They also don't have the best defense, and our offense can beat them, and we usually have something cooking for that game anyways. So I'm not ruling out at least a close game again. I don't think it's going to happen because again, the defense, but never
Yeah.
ruling it out. Um, Also, there is the miracle situation where the ACC pans out the way we want it to pan out. That's like I don't even think about that. Only worry about that if somehow at 10:30 at night that odds are still alive on Saturday. But technically, mathematically, there are ways where we still can find ourselves in a spot that I think will be better than where if you had this the season ended right now we would be in. So there's still ways to go up and ways we can earn our ways up. Um, so I think if you're going to care about it, you can think about it that way. Also, it's Georgia. Like, of course we want to beat them. Like, we gave them fewer allotments in the Mercedes-Benz than what they would get in Bobby Dodd for this game. Like, that's how much of a, yeah, literally, no, in the contract, actually, in usually they get
Again,
6,000.
podcasting is a visual medium, so
Sorry,
no
yes,
one
he made
saw
a face.
me
He made a
furrow my
face.
brow.
He made a face. In the contract, uh, Georgia got 5,000 allocated seats in Mercedes-Benz. Usually in Bobby Dodd, they get 6,000. Now, of course, you could just buy whatever, so there is that element to it. But in terms of like the reserve set aside for them, that was one of the things that we got in the negotiation with Mercedes-Benz, was fewer specific allotments for them.
Jack, I don't remember if we talked about this before the season started, but was this do you remember what the capacity was in the contract for this game? Was it 42 or was
No,
it
it's full. It was,
close?
it's full. It's definitely full stadium. No, yeah, they've
Yeah,
done
I mean that's how they make the $13 million back.
right. Yeah, no, they're not gonna. Yeah, they're not gonna 40. They're not gonna cap this like they did the
Notre
North Carolina
Dame.
game. North Carolina game. I think Notre Dame was full, or at least mostly out there. So yeah. Anyways, like it's I don't know if you had the same points actually, but like there's ways to still the season's a success already. Like we thought we got to 9 very early, and that's why this feels awful that we might not win another game after getting to 9 wins. Um, but like this is the progress we needed to see, and it happened. So
I- I'll I think both of you had said a lot of the things that I wanted to say and put in our shot sheet here. You've said them much better than I did in my rant in our shot sheet. I think I'll finish this by saying I don't blame anyone that doesn't watch the rest of the way. I legitimately don't. I might
that's
not.
fair.
Like I think it's really tough to go from really putting all of your sort of emotional energy and emotional weight. And again, like you said, that atmosphere, that the excitement to have all of that pent up, the biggest game. I don't think I'm being exaggerating when I say
No,
biggest game in 10 years. I
that's
really
absolutely true.
don't.
That was the
Not
most
at
we had to
all.
play for it
Not at
since
all.
then. Yeah.
I feel like I've seen enough of it online, hearing it from other people. I really feel I'm not exaggerating. And it's really tough to go from that environment to anything else afterward. Rivalry game, I care, but I'm not like I am it like Saturday's still pretty raw. Bowl game, we'll see. Like what happens. Like we'll see. It's difficult. Like you can logic your way. I think like mentally, like both from an analyst perspective, like running game on paper, and then from a to an extent a fan perspective, you can sort of like logic your way into sometimes the ball bounces funny and you don't win after 8 overtimes well into the middle of the night, right?
Yeah.
Um, it's hard to logic your way and not just be stuck in shock over what happened on Saturday.
Yeah, 8 overtimes, we knew
It's
there was a missed targeting call. We knew there were missed pass interference calls that changed
Yeah.
that game on its head. We knew people got hurt that changed that game in the last 5 minutes. So some of that's out of our control, literally, because you can't control what an SEC ref does. And then the same thing happened in Birmingham as well. So
there's margins in a 2 point loss, right? There's margins that aren't maximized in a 2 point loss. There are no margins that weren't maximized in a 14 point loss, regardless of the way that the game
yeah,
broke,
no, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's a lot tougher to square that circle. This kind of flows very nicely into our next question from Mike on Twitter, who actually gave us two, about how do you view the season if it ended today at 9, or I guess ended at 9-3. Um, I think this is like why people play the games, right? But this is like the derogatory version of this. It's like if you told me in August, like on August 1st, right? Tech was guaranteed to finish the season with 9 wins. I'm stoked. I'm skeptical of your prescience, but I'm stoked.
Yeah.
Like I can't think of anyone that would be disappointed by that. I think we set the bar at like
We said
7.
8. We said 8. Like
At
7 and
8,
8 was
yeah.
like the most likely. 6 was if someone gets hurt. 5 if someone gets hurt, and then there was a path to 11 or 12. But things went exceedingly right just because we had Haynes King, um, and we kind of landed in the middle of that most likely. And Haynes doing really freaking well and elevating this team beyond expectations. So
Yeah. The sad part is he did do that well. Just
And we still lost even when he is doing that
yeah.
well. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
not
I
placing
mean,
the
like,
blame
yeah.
on everyone, but
No.
It's like, look, if you told me in August that they were going to win 9 games, but they stopped at 9 because of what happened on Saturday, I think I'd be pretty miffed.
Yeah.
I
yeah.
think I'd find a way to be frustrated with that
Mhm.
one.
Yeah.
The second bit of Mike's question was talked is a paragraph, I think, in a couple images on Twitter. The brief summary here is that is saying that it's hard to call Brent Key's program tough as nails, like really hard nosed when Tech consistently isn't aggressive in short yardage and late down situations and has traded field goals for touchdowns or touchdowns for field goals in multiple situations. I have a bunch of thoughts on this because
This is your
I tried.
wheelhouse. You
Yeah,
think
this is
about
kind of my
this.
wheelhouse with decision making, but I want to let either of you, if you have strong opinions on this, go first. Because yeah, I have some thoughts.
I think
I,
mainly it's
oh,
oh, go
you
ahead, go
go.
ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say I think, this might be controversial, but I almost feel like our tough as nails, kind of physical, whatever you described, identity. I almost feel like we were way more of that last year than we are this year. And people just have kind of carried that identity over, even though we haven't carried that identity over as much as a team. I think it's still there. I think it's still a tough team, but I don't know if it's like as good as it once was. Like I said, that might, that's a very debatable point, but yeah, some of it is the defense is they look soft. They look soft.
It's not helping. Yeah,
It's not
that part's
helping.
no, not at
And
all. I
yeah,
mean,
some of I mean, not to blame Buster Faulkner, but there's been a lot of 3rd and 2, 4th and 1, and the play call is some sort of fancy trick play where they have four tight ends on, you know, one side of the field, and it's like,
No, 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 no. I'm not taking slander for the weird stuff. No, 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 no.
ugh.
That's my pet project.
we
That's
But
my
when has
boy.
it worked? When
we
has it worked?
overanalyzed that four wide receiver play against Clemson that didn't work. That where they
Which
When
essentially
has
was
it
just
worked?
legitimately stupid.
yeah,
When has
Legitimately
it
stupid,
worked?
by the way.
Yeah.
that one didn't work, and then the tight end snap to Beetham didn't work.
Yeah.
And
That's what
then
I'm talking about. Is like
yeah,
just 4th and 1,
when we
run.
know we can just run through usually for a yard, like and they started. I think that started happening more and more as the year went on. Like you just
Yes,
need that
yes.
happened in this game. Like King just kind of bowled in for a yard at one point, just when we just
Right.
needed one. So
Yeah.
that we got to that. I think they got to that point. Um,
Mhm.
it's I guess I don't want to say we're not physical at all. Like my goodness, you can't get as many yards as we can get without being that way. Like that's just not a thing
Correct.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
Um, but we're part of it. Yes, we are fast. And also yeah, part of the early play, the ability to get our ability to get yards just straight up the gut though, like isn't really our forte. Like I think people will heavily associate like that tough play calling with can you just bowl people through the line of scrimmage. And we were meant to be out wide. We were meant to spread defenses out. Like that's our advantage. It's not, and that's not a negative at all. Like that's just that's playing to your strength. That's giving yourself a better shot to win a football game. And if that means you got to throw screen passes, you throw screen passes. If you got to do weird stuff with orbits and whatever all those fancy terms are, you do those kinds of things. Um, and for the most part, it's been working. James King has a lot of touchdowns for a damn good reason. And so I wouldn't say yes, you got to be physical. And that's what if you look at Brent Key's face and not know what he is, you probably going to guess he's a football coach just by looking at his physique. So like that's ingrained. They're trying, and also we still have a long way to go from where we started 2 years ago in the physicality department. Like that is not an overnight fix. In terms of how you get there. That is a lot of recruiting. That's a lot of development. That's a lot of things that get to the point where you can look like an Alabama or look like a Michigan that can kind of just beat you with their bodies versus what you strategize. And the strategy is what's been our calling card for a while. So I don't there's validity to this whole point in terms of like not being physical enough, but like that's not the point of this team right now. Is my point there.
I have a couple of different thoughts here. I think to the point of like late downs play calling, the nugget there, the nugget that I have is kind of the reverse of like the weird stuff doesn't work. It's that when they play vanilla, when they're forced into situations to play vanilla, so your obvious passing down. So like, or especially early on in that Pitt game when they're forced into 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10, like 4th and 10, right? Where or like 2nd and 15 because they false started 3 times on the same drive, right? Like those are situations where when you're like obviously you don't want to get behind the sticks, number one. That's just cliche. But the second bit of that is when they're forced into vanilla play calling and they don't have the full playbook open, that's when defenses sort of suck in, right? That's when they sort of sink their teeth in. I think that's something that we've seen pretty consistently throughout the season. I think we saw it versus Wake Forest. We saw it a little bit early versus Temple, I want to say. And that's where we first sort of clocked, oh, or at least I clocked, oh, when they play vanilla, when they try stuff out, yeah, it's like obvious versus Temple, they were just trying to work through stuff, get practice reps, that sort of thing. Not to be disrespectful to Temple, but that game is over by the middle of the second quarter, right? So they're just saying, okay, let's try to empty the book here, get some reps, see what we can do. And they are just working through stuff, right? And some of that stuff works and some of it doesn't. Um, but when they went vanilla, when they looked like a prototypical what you put into friggin' chat GPT and say, what does modern college football offense look like? Like that, when they go to that, that is when they struggle a lot. I honestly, I think it's really apparent to me when they go to the stuff that looks a lot more complex, a lot of eye movement, a lot of eye candy, moving defenders around, stretching them out wide pre-snap. That's when they open up space for stuff to work. And this, I think, going down 28 zip, and honestly, I think Pitt's pass defense, sure, fine, is not good, but their pass rush is really good. They got a lot of push up front. Their DBs may not be, best in class, but they still were good enough to play coverage, right? And then you have a bunch of dropped balls. You have a bunch of just broken plays here and there. And you're forced into these situations early on where you think, oh, I have to play vanilla versus a really strong pass defense. I can't move them around like I want to. And you sort of like you psych yourself out of sticking true to your identity, which is playing, the weird stuff, right? Doing all of the weird stuff.
And part of that,
Um,
I think, was also limited by the fact Hosley's not there, and we can't use Jamal for all the running back things that we want to do. And Chad isn't a one for one. Is more of a Jamal than he is the Malachi. So like you don't have that variability there. Also, not all of our wide receivers are there. Like Bailey Stockton wasn't fully healthy, and that adds another wrinkle to the whole thing when he's there because there are plays for him that have existed over and over that we've seen a lot. And you got to rely on Rivers and Canyon in that at that point. We didn't really get much Jordan Allen either. Malik had some really good plays in here too.
and
But
we would be remiss to not mention that Isaiah Canyon, like
he had a
six
great day.
foot, a
Yeah,
6 foot jump, like catching this over the top of a defender and really saving, like keeping Tech in that game,
yeah.
right? And I think to the point of not having Stockton, there are a lot of these tight end seam plays that they try to run, um, where they're looking for this like 15-yard post route, right, for the
Mhm.
tight end to sit in, and he's just not there. He's not there as an option. They hit it once. They hit it once in this game, and were able
Beatham
to
had a
get
big
it.
one. Yeah, Beatham
Yeah,
had
Snyder,
one.
right.
yeah.
Yeah, or Scyther. Yeah,
But
Scyther. Yeah,
in general, they're not. They didn't have that as an option in this game. It was Canyon coming in from the slot and sitting in that 20-yard zone. Um, so that's tough. I think to the point about the running backs too, this is something that we've been tracking for a couple of weeks. And that running back runs between the tackles have been like increasingly less effective. They're consistently getting stuffed by whoever the nose tackle is, or if you have a linebacker that's sitting in a gap up front, that play is just getting snuffed out to begin with. There has to be some sort of tell or some way that they're lining up that tips that the ball is going to the running back that's getting these stuff because it's consistently like 2 yards at most. I think to the point about runs up the middle in those situations, like it doesn't bother me as much. Like I think conceptually, and I think I've said this before, like you probably, if it's 4th and 1 or like like 4th and 1 and you're sitting in the shotgun, that's probably bad. Um, even if you usually train that way. I think in these last few games, Tech has been in those 4th and 1 or 3rd-and-1 situations and just basically run fullback dive like out of the strong eye or even the weak eye. So it's fine, whatever. Don't really care. Like that butters my bread just as well as anything else. I think Tech still runs the ball down the middle pretty effectively with King. Not to put it all on him, but they still do, right? Quarterback draw still works. Fake toss power still works. Like I said, fullback dive, even though it's not him, that still works. He had a tush push sneak in this game too, right? Like they're able to do a lot of these things because of him. I think when the ball goes to the running backs and when they're not going north or east west, right? When they're not running the jet sweep, the fake toss jet sweep, or any other weird stuff like that, right? Designed running back runs that don't have motion attached or don't have some sort of eye candy attached. That's where they've struggled. And that's where it's been really, really frustrating to watch. I guess the last bit here is just the decision making on 4th down. And Jay and Jack, we were talking about this before we started recording. Um, I don't think Brent should have had to have been booed out of taking a sad field goal at 28-0.
I don't.
That's
Yeah. We disagree in that. I don't think he was ever intending on doing that. I don't now. I can't speak to what the real thing was. No one ever asked about it. I kind of at that point I was too much in shock in the press conference to even bring that up. Slash, I was kind of too scared to even ask Brent about it that state anyways. Uh, but I in that situation where we were going where it was like, okay, are we kicking a field goal here or like are we or are we not? I never thought we were. I think he knew that. I thought he was just using that as just a thing to just a milk clock. I don't know what was going. I don't know that level of not a football coach or anything like that. But I was never convinced they were actually kicking it in the moment. And no one in the press box started going like, "What the hell is going on here? Why is he out there?" So I don't think I'm alone in
fans were
saying
not happy.
no. That's the right
I
response. Like if
I
I
was
was out
not
in the
happy.
crowd, if I was in the out in the crowd, I would have started booing too. But I mean, once I saw what the clock situation was, I was like, okay, no, he's not actually doing that. Like that's just a trick. Right? I don't know if he's tricking them or just having them run out there just for the hell of it. I got that much. I don't know, but I never was convinced that was actually happening. And I think you would know. I think he's smart enough and was smart enough to know you go for it here. Like you have all the time. You got time still, even if it doesn't work, and you got good field position too.
I mean, and then on that ensuing next couple of plays, they go for it on 4th down and then cash that in,
Yeah,
right? So it's your immediate spark to the rest of the offense for the rest of the game. I I think he's turtled up the last couple of weeks. I think since that NC State game, I've noticed like increasing desire to trade touchdowns for field goals
100%
inside
agree.
the 10. And I don't have the numbers in front of me. I haven't rerun our model just yet to actually bracket this down. But in this game, it's a little bit different. Game state dictates like once you get later in this game, you have to go for it on every single 4th down. Although there was one egregious punt decision on like down 2 scores with like 8 minutes left in the game, which I was just furious about, despite being in shock. Setting that one aside, I have no idea what's changed because I did feel the first half of the year he was pretty aggressive. Like he was at least like on average like pretty aggressive. There weren't notable misses
the
that we
ones
hung got him for.
Maggie, I don't know if this makes sense to you too, but the ones that I remember were like 4th and 1s and 4th and 2s. That it was
Yes.
like, yeah, these are doable ones, and we just failed way too often, knowing what we had. In North at NC State especially, we were playing our way out of like good 4th down yardage. Like it wasn't like 4th and 13, but it wasn't 4th and 3s that we were getting ourselves. It was still like 4th and 6s, 4th and 7s, to where if you and also and you like had to get something there, especially against NC State, just to have something in the boat race there. So at least remembering those two, watching those games, I was less less mad about that compared to if like we had done that against Clemson in some of those situations. But just because like we just kept backing ourselves out of a shot where it was like, okay, here's a reasonable shot to get 6, 7 to get the 3 yards you need. And you're in a much more testy situation compared to what you'd want. Also, in some cases, we're not far enough down the field either. For some of those. And some of those, yes, some of those were chip shots. Burr's the best field goal kicker in the country right now. But nonetheless, like the yardages weren't comfortable, I think, to make that happen. And based on like how well we're moving the ball well, but like if you don't get the yards, you're asking a lot there. And you know you can get 3, and you know you can get yourself another chance to score as well. Like you're moving the ball enough to where if you kick a field goal, that's not the end of the world because you will be back down there again. You can take another shot at getting those points. Of course, North Carolina State, we don't win just because like we didn't allow anything but touchdowns in that game. So competent defense, it's different. But I mean, I see your point there. It's like we have the guys to do it, so do it, please.
Again, this goes back to my thesis on that all of the weird stuff works and it will continue to work because college defenders, I've never been a college football player, so obviously take this with a grain of salt, but like college defenders are dumb. Like there are some guys that will be accountants next year, right? Playing in that secondary and playing in that linebacking core. Like take advantage of that. Even at the D1, even at the FBS level, like you can drag those guys around with the fancy stuff. It works in the pros. Like significantly, there are EPA advantages to on motion plays, or at least there were until like the last 2 years because Kyle Shanahan ruins everything. But like there are significant advantages to using motion, and Tech has built this offensive identity of doing a lot of these weird motion things, especially in that game, in that 8 overtime game last year, where they just went all the way deep into the bag of tricks versus Georgia. And in this season, they've done increasingly less of it, and it's befuddling to me. I guess not increasingly less of it. They are like
No,
very clearly better on those plays, and they just are like all break glass in case of emergency for some reason, and it boggles my mind.
I agree.
It's
I've noticed that.
extremely frustrating.
Yeah, I've noticed that for sure. And yeah, it is interesting. Part of me is like, which I guess I don't know how much we're talking about this game, but part of me is like, are we saving some for Friday? Hopefully,
I think
maybe.
absolutely. It's happened the last. He's done it the last 2 years. And
Yeah.
granted, part of last year's surprise was that Haynes King had a functioning right arm too.
I
Um,
mean, came as a shock to me too. So,
is this the game? Remember the ESPN article where they said he's left-handed but he throws with his right hand? Is this the game
uh,
he throws left-handed? Is that the trick this year?
The
maybe.
trick is that they've replaced his entire left arm with a cybernetic one. That ain't no rule that says
You
a
can't.
robot arm can't play
Robots are not
football.
illegal in football. They're not illegal.
Yeah. First drive, Aaron Philo comes out as quarterback. Haynes King is in the backfield running back.
Man, I would
You're
have
not.
paid.
Why did that make some sense when you said that?
The thing is, though, it was like cooking last year. I was all about this idea of playing two quarter, and like, yes, it's an
I
There was
obvious
was
step.
one
too.
play.
For the Georgia game, I was kind of expecting it.
There was one play against Miami where they both were on the field. It did
Yeah.
happen. It did happen.
Yeah.
And there have been other offenses this year that have put two quarterbacks on the field. Like,
Yeah.
it's not illegal. You can do it. They can be eligible. But, like, I have no problem with that. I think you have to scheme something up to make sure it's legal. But like, I have no problem with it,
We can't
especially in this game.
we can't burn
But
Philo's red shirt at this point. So like, if that's a bag of trick, if that's something in there, you may as well. Like,
Yeah.
the bowl
It was
game is.
mostly a joke when I said it, but I wouldn't be angry or shocked if it happened.
I mean, I say that because I'm thinking the first thing in my head is like, okay, you run a read option with King as the running guy because no one's had more success running up down the middle on this team than King right now. And if you uh, like
Leading
now
rusher by a lot.
part of that is schematically and whatnot, but I'm like, if there's a guy that's going to hit a gap and bounce off a dude, it's him or Malachi, of course. But at least if with Aaron, you can throw the deepest RPO you could possibly fathom and better shot at catching it, probably knowing his touch
yeah,
and accuracy. So, like, it's not perfect. This is not a perfect science for this at all. But it's like, okay, you can see a world where there's something there, and I hope I didn't spoil Friday's plan. And no Georgia fans listen to this anyway, so we're fine. But
Kirby Smart's not watching.
no,
uh, anyway, just a very quick overview of Friday's I was going to say festivities. It's not a festivity. It's more or less a funeral. 3:30 kick sold out at Mercedes-Benz. This game will be on ABC. This is the Invesco QQQ Gridiron Showdown, whatever they've decided to brand it to take to assuage that $13 million check to Tech. Georgia's favored by 13 and a half, which somehow is not as many points as last year. So I expect that line to go bigger before kickoff.
Oh,
same.
Any other things from around the ACC, friends, before we take a quick break to do podcast business?
These are your notes, man. I don't know what the hell you're talking about here with FSU and Stanford. I didn't watch any of
Well,
the
FSU
football.
well FSU lost on
I watched that
Friday, so there's
entire
that.
game. I
Okay,
watched that
okay,
entire
okay.
game.
What's the deal there? What's the deal there?
There was well, Florida State was, or no, NC State was punting the ball, excuse me, and a big man up on the field was running. Punt bounces off of his helmet. The NC State punter, it bounces all the way back. The NC State punter recovers it. So it's just 1st and 10 from literally the line of scrimmage from where
Oh,
he,
that's amazing.
um,
That's somehow, and that's better than the punt that we got in this game too, where it bounced back 15 yards and we got good field position because there was a face
Oh,
mask
and then
too.
there was a penalty on top of that.
So
yeah,
it ended up
yeah.
being the 7 yard punt they gave us. That was part of why we got in the game so quickly, is because we had short field off
Yes.
a
Yeah,
normal ass punt.
we had it at their 30. And then believe it or not very next drive. Florida State had the ball. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember. I think they punted, then NC State got it back. They punted. Florida State, Squirrel White muffs the punt.
Oh, that's great.
And then NC State scores
Incre-
game sealing touchdown. So,
And they got to keep
Incredible.
Norvell because they can't afford to fire him.
yep. Yep.
The
So,
dreaded vote of confidence because you can't fire a coach is truly incredible. It's remarkable, honestly.
mhm.
Fascinating.
We
At
love
least
it.
Truly
we're not Florida
fascinating.
State. That's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yes, we're much
That
better.
is 5-6 Florida State, which now has to beat Florida. Is this game at home or away? Let's find out. It is
Who
at
also,
Florida. They
ew,
have to beat Florida to get to a bowl game. So let's find
on Cartoon
out
Network.
who's is
I'm assuming they're not that high up in the APR rankings after learning that UNC is #1 in that today.
befuddling. A lot of things about North Carolina today have been befuddling. The other major thing that happened in ACC football last week was that Stanford somehow won big game. I'm shocked by this result. I've never expected. I legitimately thought Stanford was going to go into the wood chipper for like the fourth year in a row, and they put Cal into a wood chipper. The final score is 31-10.
Stanford's had some surprising games this year, man. Like they've found a way to make things weird. They are properly ACC weird now after being well, they had one weird game last year, but they were truly terrible. But now Frank Reich is not supposed to be the coach next year, but is doing enough. Maybe. I don't know. See what Andrew Luck
They
says.
won. They won this game with their quarterback going 9 of 19 for a buck 29 and one TD.
That's the
They
kind
had
of
the
stat
They
running.
line where,
scored 31.
good God. That
Don't look at me. They
that's
got
the kind
one. They got one off, two offensive touchdowns, and I think the rest. Let's see. Oh, three turnovers for Cal. So that probably writes the book on this one.
that's the kind of passing line when I see that in the game on paper thread that I'm worried the site broke because no one should have a passing line like that. And yet
Let's
it is
see.
real.
Okay. I'm looking at the big plays by Absolute EPA. You have a fumble return for a touchdown for Stanford. You have another fumble return for a touchdown from
Oh no.
Stanford. Uh, Emmett Kenny missed a field goal from 35 yards. That's ridiculous. Let's see. I think yeah. That's those two. Those are the two big ones defensively, and that gets you to 28, and then you get a field goal on top
And field goal.
for 31. There you go.
Here we
Wow.
are.
Wow.
What a
Yeah.
world. What a
What a
world
world.
where
Back to
Stanford.
LOL FSU. Stanford did beat them. So,
True.
Truly, Stanford is full of multitudes.
yep.
Friends, let's take a quick break to thank our sponsor, Section 103, and then we'll be back to talk about the rest of the wide world of Georgia Tech sports that also somehow happened this weekend back in a Tech.
Well, thankfully, because we're recording on Monday, the Black Friday sale has started. So if you want some Section 103 gear for 20% off through, was that December 1st? So before Monday, you got a week. You got a week of 20% off the entire site. So that means I'm not even going to give our usual code because it won't help because you can't double up codes on Section 103. So for just get whatever you want for 20% off, get your holiday shopping done, free shipping for over $100. I still got to actually, that reminds me, I got to make do my shopping there for my brother this week. So there you go. If you need to get your good stuff, it's there. They got Kennesaw State, they got LSU, they got Georgia Southern. If you got those people in your family, but get the Fleece Bobby Dodd sweater while it's available. That's the important stuff. So there you go.
Let's talk about basketball, shall we? It's basketball time. Let's talk about the 5-1 Georgia Tech men's basketball team, 95th in Ken Palm and Torvik, top
Top 100,
100,
top 100,
top
baby.
100 Jackets, posting 2 wins this week versus Georgia schools. A escape act versus Georgia Southern, 68-66, and then an 82-66. Also somehow an escape act versus West Georgia. I'm confused.
The directional Georgia's gave us a lot of hell this week, and it's annoying. But we were down 11 to Georgia Southern. Like, really, really. But here we are. Biden Dongo did have a good game though. Had 20 points, 10 rebounds. That's what he did. But we won both these games because we just were taller. We got better size this year, and that ended up being a big factor here because we could win the rebounding battles for both Georgia Southern and West Georgia, and that gave us some point paints and all sorts of good stuff underneath, close to the basket. Which I mean, that's our advantage this year. It's that we've got between Bai and Mosilla, like that's a lot of work we can do underneath the basket, and it's working so far. So that's the big thing. West Georgia was winning at halftime on Sunday by only a
Yay.
point. By only a point, the smallest you could be winning by. But nonetheless, I don't like that a school that's been a D1 school for going on a year and change had a lead over us. But 1 year, it's us in men's basketball in November. What else do you expect?
I've maintained my usual skepticism about this basketball program in that I will not believe in them until they win multiple games versus ACC opponents.
I agree.
It's got to be multiple wins versus like decent ACC opponents for me to start buying in.
We finally get like some somewhat real non-con opponents this week. Like we played DePaul and one of
Don't count
LSU.
DePaul. Come on.
It's not a directional school. Like it's not the
Is it
best, but it's
DePaul or DePaul? That's the terrible one.
DePau is the terrible one.
Ah.
This is the better one. Yeah, so they're more basketball real than the other DePaul something. And we could play LSU. You never know. Down in the Emerald Coast Classic, which I want to say is in Destin or somewhere in Florida. So they'll be if you're a Florida Jacket. Let's see here. That's in Niceville. Sorry, it's in Niceville, Florida. So if you're a Florida Jacket down there, you can go see them down there. Those games are on CBS Sports Network. That's a rarity. We're not usually on that channel, but here we are.
Fascinating. Women's basketball, 59th in Torvik, but a 500 record at 3-3. 68-60 win over West Georgia themselves. Got a lot of help from the bench in this one, right, Jack?
Yes, Jada Crawshaw, Lanaya Foster, and Deja Thomas Harris all had to get 11 points off the bench. So that's 33 of our 68 points were all bench production. So that's more than usual. That was rough there. The thing is we had a 22-point halftime lead. Like we were playing that game as we should, and then did not win the second half whatsoever. I think there was a technical foul in there or a personal flagrant in there somewhere on one of our gals too. So not incredible. I mean, what sucks about both these teams right now is they are like simultaneously we are unable to really ascertain how good these teams are just because they're not overperforming. They're like even if they were overperforming against these bad teams, you still would say like, well, we haven't seen them against a real team, and they don't play good enough against these teams. Like, well, okay, we don't know if they're just that bad or like if they're figuring themselves out. Like, there's just so many I don't knows here. Women's basketball at least had more of a okay, maybe we do know because they got summarily walloped by the Bulldogs out at Stegeman on Sunday. So that was not our score started with a 5 and theirs started with an 8. That's all you need to know.
Well, at least they're going to the Caymans this weekend.
Yeah, they get a good vacation. They're going to play St. John's on Friday and then Florida on Saturday. So those are real testables. So we'll find out real information this weekend.
Those are actual basketball teams.
If you want to watch, you can. I mean, it's hilarious that our basketball teams, both basketballs and football, play on Friday. You can. I think the men's game is after the football game. The women's game is the men's game against DePaul is at 7:00. The women's game is at 5. So if anyone's and it's on Flow College, so you got
you have to pay for that.
It's a Flow
so
Sports
good luck.
game. So none of us will watch that game, and then next week
That's unfortunate.
Hopefully those will be good. We'll get some stats out of those, and then we got ACC SEC Challenge the next week. So
what a world! What a world! Flow College is really cursed. It's been a while since I've heard Flow College. Final section of the day. Let's talk a little volleyball, shall we? 16 and 11 overall, 11 and 7 in the ACC, 32 in the latest Evolve rankings. A split week with one win versus Notre Dame. Like you said, Jack, technically they won.
There was
They
a
won.
technicality. If anyone remembers what we said an hour change ago, yes, it was a technicality.
One win over Notre Dame on Sunday, and then a tightly contested fixture
Yes.
versus number 7 Louisville, I think you would
Yeah.
say.
I went to this. Yeah, the first set we only lost by we lost 25-23. We had the lead for most of the first set as Louisville was finding their way into that match, and then they did enough late. Second set looked awful. Third set we looked much better. Like we were able to take advantage. Louisville had some some errors that we were able to get away with. But like when we looked good against Louisville, we looked good. Like we could put up a fight with them. We could really force the issue. And when we looked bad, we looked really bad. But then again, right now, part of the problem of why we're gonna have some sets that are like this, where we had a 25-14 set, is because we don't have any depth to work with. Like the people we have to play is it. When we don't have Liv Mogridge. Like she's never playing for us again at this point, because it was her senior day and she's been out basically all the year. Larissa Menges got her ACL torn, so she ain't playing. Bosie's not playing. Um, and Ital Lapuyo's been out for a while too. So like the people that we would usually shuffle in to shake things up are just not there. And some of them are playing outright right now. Like Bielewski comes in certain spots, Abby Lee comes in certain spots, but they have their set spots where it makes sense for them to come in, and that's it. So we're kind of stuck with a single plan, and when it's on, it's on, and when it's not on, that's just it. We don't have a way to change things up like Michelle really wants to. So all things considered, losing 3-1 to Louisville and almost forcing extra points in a set and maybe making it a 5-setter is at home is great. Like I don't blame it at all, and that's partly why we're still really bubbly in 32nd and Evolve. We'll see what happens. There's 27 automatic qualifiers conference wise, so there is a way in still. We'll see, but um, we got Stanford on Wednesday and Pitt on Saturday. And if we can get either one of those, we are in. Like we are straight up in. Like if we win one, you're in. We're fine. But it's exceedingly unlikely considering Stanford beat the crap out of us when they were here, and Pitt beat the crap out of us when we went up there. So we'll
This
see.
is such a tough travel thing. I think I said this too. It is it's just awful to have to go cross country midweek right before a holiday and then play Pitt at home effectively the day after a holiday on Friday.
And at least they're, I mean, thank God the Stanford game is not is it is in middle afternoon West Coast time. Like they can get out of there and be flying home before it's around when the sun's setting out there. So like time wise, they've got. I think this game was originally scheduled for 6 o'clock local time, and they moved it up 3 hours. So this is better than it could have been. I mean, 3 hours maybe doesn't make that big of a difference when you're just on a plane, but at least they're not going to give you landing here as badly as it could have been, and really setting in some bad jet lag for Thursday and Friday.
I've been on those 10 p.m. Pacific red eyes back to Atlanta from SFO. Let me tell you,
Not fun.
not fun.
No.
Not fun at all. Jack, any other news and notes from around the flats before
Right.
we head out of here? This has been a
Right.
football heavy episode.
I mean, we had a lot to think on. Like that was a emotionally charged episode, and I think a lot of our folks are in that same headspace still, even 48 hours after the game. But the good news is I saw this today. Danny Hall is a 2026 Georgia Sports Hall of Fame inductee. So one more of our own going in there, which is really cool to see, and of course, extremely well deserved considering he was here for a very very long time and did as much for Georgia sports as you could ask any one man to do. So that's the good stuff. So
I
overall,
mean,
man.
he outstripped both of our lifetimes.
Yes, he was here longer than he coached here longer than both of us have still been alive.
Hilarious. There was also a couple of results from a swim and dive UGA invite. Let me see if I can pull these up because this is a late add to our shot sheet here. Pulling directly from ramblinrec.com, quote, Robin Yaboa wasted no time with his best 100-yard freestyle time yet at 42.94. Phoebe Wright followed up with a strong showing in the 200-yard backstroke prelims, claiming fourth place at 154.91 and the third best time in program history. Yaboa finished sixth in the main final with a 42-74 in the 100-yard freestyle. Excuse me. That was the 5th best mark in Tech's record books.
How
So
about that?
a bunch of other results there. Tech concludes its meet calendar. This event, excuse me, concludes Tech's meet calendar for the fall, and they will reconvene on the road at ranked Alabama on the 10th of January. Whew, man, that's a heck of a test. Anything
Fifth
else,
best,
Jack?
fifth best time in school history for a November meet's pretty good, actually. Like you're not usually seeing that kind of stuff this early, so that's a good sign for later down the line. We'll see how that all goes. So, just a reminder: ACC championships and NCAA championships are at Macaulay Aquatic Center in February and March. So, all the best will be showing up multiple times at Tech for those meets. Usually, the NCAA meet last time it was here was sold out pretty quickly. So, it's about as good of a meet as you're going to get in the United States because it's effectively a lot of swimmers that swim for other Olympic teams and the U.S. team. So it's a very high quality meet that it doesn't usually get here that often, and it has some school pride attached to it. So it's of the more fun under the radar sporting events you can get access to in the city.
Jake argues that the NCAA championships and the ACC championships are more competitive than, or like a more watchable product than the Olympic qualifiers in
I would,
Indianapolis.
that's arguably true, but also a lot of that is because a lot of the same people are at both of those.
Mm.
So it's not a fun. That's why it's great because it's not. It's the closest thing you're going to get to those kind of meets compared to like the pro meets. What who cares about the standard pro meets? Like there's no, like, aside from Kate Douglas breaking the short course records nowadays. Like there's very little new things happening there. But yeah, you get a like I saw Leon Marchand swim in 2021 when they were last here, and he was setting the 400 IM records well before he was breaking Michael Phelps's records there with Arizona State. So you legitimately we are going to see some people that are going to swim in Los Angeles that are not top billing yet. It will be in 2028, but right now they're getting their laps under them, and they might win some events and win down the line. So you never know.
Maybe it'll be us. Maybe it'll be Tech. Who knows? Who knows? Bunch of Turkish Olympic athletes on the squad, or historically have been on the squad.
As always, we have current swimmers that were already Olympians in Paris. So
Could be more. Could be more. Jack, thank you for joining me today. Thank you to Maggie, who had to duck out during our break as well, for joining us. Jack, where can the good people find us?
they can find us at fromtherumbleseat.com. That is where my work goes. That's where Maggie's awesome Thursday columns go up. If you just need some raw emotion / good football knowledge, go to her. You can email us at fromtherumbleseat@gmail.com if you have any questions or concerns or things along that nature, or you want to write for us. I'm always accepting people that would like to come write for us like Maggie did. It's awesome. On Twitter and Blue Sky, we're at FTRS blog. I'm at Jack Nicholas. You can find me actually at Game on Paper if you so want to talk about the rest of the college football world and help make our site better. You can find Section 103 at Section 103 or section103.com. This podcast is wherever you can find podcasts, plus YouTube with no video because we don't care to do that. I don't know. It's just a time thing. Anyways, big game on Friday. Hope you can be there. If you're not there, watch on TV. Give us good ratings. We need it all. Hopefully we can beat them. To hell with Georgia. Good night. Good night.